they stormed into Trenton, New Jersey, and overwhelmed a larger, better-armed force of German mercenaries. After months of humiliating defeats, the victory at Trenton lifted the morale of an entire people and convinced the American army it could win the War of Independence. "Without the pen of Paine," John Adams exclaimed, "the sword of Washington would have been wielded in vain." Washington agreed, pointing out that Paine's words had left few Americans at a loss to decide upon the propriety of a separation from Britain. A decade later, Paine's words had the same effect in France, and still later in Britain. As he told Jefferson, he held certain truths to be self-evident, among them that the laws of nature and nature's God had created all men equal and entitled them to certain unalienable rights. Envisioning a worldwide confederation of free men, he defined those rights in a major work he called Rights of Man, which he dedicated in part to Washington, the hero of the American Revolution, in part to Lafayette, the hero of the French Revolution. The most widely read political writer of his generation, Paine proved himself more than a century ahead of his time, conceiving and demanding unheard-of social reforms that became integral elements of modern Republican societies. Among them, government subsidies and public housing for the poor, free universal public education, pre- and post-natal care for women, and universal Social Security, with government payments to everyone 50 years or older. He outraged the rich with a call for an inheritance tax, property taxes on the lands of aristocrats, and a progressive income tax to reduce inequality between rich and poor. And he called for an end to slavery and to monarchy itself. "It requires some talents to be a common mechanic," Paine scoffed, "but to be a king requires only the animal figure of a man." A warm, jovial man and sometime poet, Thomas Paine won like-minded friends in the highest ranks of British, American, and French society. In America, his close friendships with Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson produced elements of the Declaration of Independence. His friendship with James Madison colored the Bill of Rights. In America, Congress gave him a cabinet post. Pennsylvania made him a citizen, and New York State gave him a 277-acre farm north of New York City, where his talents as an inventor produced advanced forms of iron bridges and helped Robert Fulton develop one of the first steam engines to power boats. With America free and independent, Paine went to France to join Lafayette and other political liberals in stripping the monarch of absolute powers and establishing a French republic, with a constitution that used as its basis Paine's Rights of Man. Hailed as much in France for common sense as he had been in America, he won election to the French National Assembly, where he opposed capital punishment and argued against execution of the French king. Thirsting for royal blood, outraged radicals tossed Paine in prison to await the guillotine. Facing death, he worked on his magnum opus, The Age of Reason. In it, he extended the principles of liberty he had espoused in Common Sense and Rights of Man to religion, calling it a human invention, designed, like monarchy, to terrify and enslave man. His attack on religion, however, turned much of the Western world against him. Former friends and admirers shunned him. Devout Christians despised and rejected him and his writings. An assassin's bullet only barely missed its mark. And when the man Americans had once hailed as father of all founding fathers fell sick and died in 1809 at 72, few noticed, and even fewer cared. As a further insult to his legacy, an irrational Englishman ripped his bones out of the earth and shipped them to England, where they were lost. A series of fires subsequently consumed most of his papers. But neither fire nor censors succeeded in silencing his words. Revealed once more in the pages that follow, Thomas Paine's words continue to try men's souls. Chapter 1. Cries of Paine. Even when he was 6, Thomas Paine scoffed at the ritual of silence in his father's Quaker meeting house as defying common sense. While sitting in pews all day awake